Greetings, hey guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, greetings, hi. If not, thanks for sticking around. I know I'm not very consistent with my posting, but I do appreciate those of you who stick around just to see when the next upload is. Just wanted to do a little video on things I wish I knew in my early 20s. My birthday was in January and I am now officially in my late 20s, and I've spent the last of January and February coming to terms with it. I was feeling pretty melancholy about it, I'm not gonna lie. Just so you know, I have my notes in front here, so I'll be referring to those if you see me looking down. And then it is only 10 things, but if you do like this video, I can do a part 2 and 3. Yeah, and you can let me know what you guys think. And if you get to the end of this video, please remember to comment your 3 favorite emojis. Listen, let me tell you, I am vibing with the champagne glasses that are clinking, so that's like one emoji. The little orange heart, maybe another champagne glass, maybe some sparkles on there, and maybe that boba tea emoji. So that's where I'm at with my faves, so you can decide. So the first thing I wish I knew in my early 20s is that being nice is not the same thing as being authentic. It's not the same thing as being yourself. Obviously, I'm going to talk from my own experience. Being a young woman of color, there are you have to come across a certain way to different demographics in order to almost prove that you are a worthy, smart human being, because that's the jumping off point when you're a woman of color, when you're a woman, but as women, we tend to come off as super nice, and men do this too, so I'm not just like excluding. I'm just saying, when you become a chameleon, you are sort of a manipulator in some way. You force people's hand. You don't give them the information they need to know you, and thus make a decision on whether they want to invite your energy into their life or not. So people can tell, whether it's conscious or subconscious, people know when you're not being you, when you are twisting they know deep down, you know what I mean? When you're trying to twist their perception of who you are, that's not you showing up as yourself, that's you scanning the room and showing up as who you think everybody wants to see. Next one is something that was quite profound to me. It's decentering the male gaze as the most important, like decentering the male gaze. Right? If I had known this in my early 20s, I'm sure it would have been a bit more smooth sailing in multiple categories in my life. So on multiple levels. For instance, I only recently discovered, for some reason in my late 20s, that I have or had no sense of personal style. That has very much been changing over the last 2 years of conscious effort into finding my own style. Before, when the male gaze is the center, and also, you know, I was young and whatever, I would really always want to prove that I have a shape, that I am snatched. Like, I don't know if anyone else went through this. It sounds lame, but I had no personal freedom in how I was expressing myself through clothes, not all of the time, just some of the time. Obviously, you know what you like and what you don't like in clothes, but the main goal was that I was seeing myself through the male gaze. So that would mean squeezing into tight clothes, even if I just wasn't into it or didn't feel comfortable looking like that day. I thought, yeah. So decentering the male gaze in terms of style. The most important thing now is in terms of friendships. I'm sure we've all done this before, getting into relationships and then completely ignoring our friends in favor of just hanging around with some guy. That's the worst thing you can do. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's only now in my late 20s that I'm realizing that the most important relationships in my life are the woman around me, and everything I know about love and showing up for people, I can definitely attribute to the women around me and how they have loved me so selflessly through everything. So, I wish I'd known that earlier, because I feel like I was just running around with, seeing myself through the male gaze. And remember that the male gaze doesn't go away. The male gaze is like, you will always see yourself through the eyes of a man, because that's like the patriarchy, that's the system, that's what we're indoctrinated in. But I'm saying to decenter that gaze, which is different from not seeing yourself from that, because you'll always be seeing yourself from that, because that's the system we live in. Okay. Something I wish I had known in my early 20s is that the greatest gift I could have given myself from the get-go was emotional independence. And obviously, daddy issues, codependence, people-pleasing, hyper-independence, those are things that are so prevalent in my life. And it was like learning to think my own thoughts, learning to feel my own emotions, learning to navigate those thoughts and feelings from my own perspective with self-awareness and understanding nuance, and building relationships with those around me from a place of being grounded and not desperate for connection in any way, but rather relating in the sense that we are humans that need to connect with each other. But when you come from a place of emotional independence, you are not projecting your whatevers onto other people. So emotional independence was something I wish I had started working on from the get-go. That is the greatest gift. That is the greatest gift I have given myself in my 20s. I wish I had known that earlier, because it's freed me from so much. It's amazing what you can do when you can see yourself as you are, the truth of who you are, even if it's messy, without running away. It's a gift. You say, from me to me, a love letter forever. The fourth thing, which is probably a jumping off point from what I just said, was if I had learned to ask myself from the get-go, what do I think about this? What do I feel about this? What do I like? What don't I like? If I could have just decided those things from the get-go, or even known to make those lists, to have those non-negotiables from the get-go in my early 20s, what would have happened is I would not have just given of myself so freely, so cheaply, all around in every aspect of my life. And this also factors into the point of being a chameleon and showing up authentically. I remember I was just giving too much too soon, especially with the male romantic counterparts in my life who weren't even worthy. If I'm going to be frank about it, maybe I wasn't worthy also, whatever, in their narrative, but they weren't even worthy at that time, and I was just giving it away for free. You are allowed to pick. You're allowed to choose. I wish somebody had just said it to me like that, like big sister advice from the get-go. You get to pick. You also get to choose what you don't like, what you do like, who you are going to spend time with, who you aren't going to like, what man is going to be in your life, what he may or may not do in your life. And you get to be picky about it. You don't get to just accept. You don't have to just accept whatever's thrown your way. You know what I'm saying? You need to put your phone down a little bit. you need to go outside. You know what I'm saying? You need to like go outside, touch the grass, feel the sun on your skin, just like for 10 minutes. Social media is a really tricky place. It is such a beautiful tool, whether it's for business, self-expression, communicating, building not just an audience, but building a community of people who understand you, who you can support, who can support you. But sometimes you need to like just put your phone down. Social media has a lot of people convinced that, I don't know, that they're behind, that they should rush, that they should be getting married and having babies already. Like, if that is part of your story and part of your journey, that's 100% okay. And I'm in full support of that. But if you are feeling pressured and rushed, not only into those obvious things, but also thinking you should quit your 9 to 5 without a plan, like, you need to like think logically, okay, about some things. And it's like you need to dream big and far and wide, like super delusionally, but like you should not just quit your job. You know what I'm saying? And I, for a long time, thought, why can't I just like do that stuff? It's not that it's not even feasible. It is feasible, but you have to like go with a plan. People be like, oh, I quit my job today with no plan. But some of those people do have a fallback plan. But okay, I'll get to that at the end because that's part of a different point. You should definitely travel and move to different places, but don't just like do it because everyone else seems to be doing it. When you move to another place, another country, another whatever, you don't have a support system there. You don't know like the shops, you don't know the area, you are relearning everything, and that is magical and beautiful. But you need to be like prepped that the high of that will die down, and you're gonna have to move into normal life in the new place where you are, and that it will take a considerable amount of effort to get accustomed to those changes. So don't let social media trick you into making big decisions like that with very little thought. Yeah. And you don't have to like pretend you have the things you don't. Like, it's handbags, it's shoes, it's nice things, but they're just things. So, I mean, nice things make me happy. I like nice things, okay? I like it when things are delish, lavish, but you know what I mean. So please don't hate me on this one. But okay, we are currently living in a climate that is able to call out the systematic things that affect us, like racism, classism, sexism, like hustle culture vibes. We're able to call out those kinds of things and discuss them in a way where we know that they are not necessary. But what I've been noticing, this is very loose anecdotal stuff. What I am noticing is that even for me, I was like, yeah, you shouldn't have to hustle. You shouldn't have to like kill yourself. But that's not how the world works. You are going to have to pay your dues a little bit in this life. If you're just like a normal, average person, whatever that means, okay, just follow along. It's like you will have to pay your dues. You will have to work a few shitty jobs. Do you know how many times I've spent as a runner on a film set, which is still going to happen for a long time until I get to where I want to be? Just like making coffees all day and having people like not be that nice to you, and like, not sitting down for 12 to 18 hours at a time. Like, sometimes you're just gonna have to do the shitty jobs, and you're gonna have to do them with grace, and you're gonna have to put your best foot forward, and it's gonna be like that. Sometimes you just have to pay your dues just a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes we get a little lazy. This is me too. I'm not saying like I'm not involved in this. I just wish I had known from the get-go that there are no shortcuts. There are no shortcuts. I wish I had known not to take people, situations, or things too seriously. Obviously, there are serious situations and things, but I just mean I would really take things personally. I would really take things to heart. I'm a sensitive soul, okay? No, but I am. It's not a bad thing. It's just like you will ruin your whole life if you take everything personally, everything to heart, if you let everything affect you. Because 99% of the time, anything that anyone does is not about you. You know what I mean? It's just not about you. Think about how much you're thinking of yourself in the day. You're just thinking about you, like the whole day. And so sometimes if you're in a bad mood, you're going to lash out at another person. Like, if I would take it personally when like that stuff was happening. Yeah. You don't need to take everything personally. That's one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself. Like, part of being an emotionally independent person is that you know when things really are personal, and when they are that serious, you need to have people around in your life who are going to come to you about serious things. Okay. Point number 8 is that you need to learn to use your voice. I have single-handedly destroyed 2 or 3 very meaningful friendships to me. One such in particular that, like, one particular friendship really stands out in my mind, and I was the gossip queen. Okay, I was not a big girl about it. Granted, there was some toxic things going on, it's fine, but I need to take ownership of the role I played in that. I did not go to the parties involved, sit them down and be like, yo, this is what's bothering me, this is how it's going. I was like venting in all the wrong places, not with ill intent. I just didn't handle things in a grown-up way. Sometimes you need to like sit a person down, and it's really uncomfortable and like scary and crappy, and just be like, this is where I'm at. And I didn't do that, and I destroyed, and when I say destroyed, pummeled, like sent those friendships up in flames. Not just my fault, but that is my contribution to that, because I didn't use my voice. It takes practice, so learn to use your voice. Number 9 of things I wish I knew when I was young is that context is important, like the context of your life in relation to others. What I mean by that is your 20s, yes, they are for you. They're for fun. They're for travel. This is granted you can afford these things, okay? Your 20s are for you. They're for fun. They're for travel. They're for dating. They're for having fun and just like partying and exploring and learning good things. I could argue that your 30s are for that too, because that's only like half your life, right? But context is so important. There are some people who are allowed to mess up in their 20s more than others simply because they have more resources and people around them and finances that will help navigate those mistakes, such that those mistakes don't have super horrible consequences for their long-term futures. If you are in a certain demographic, if you... I hate saying stuff like this because I'm not encouraging you to not have fun, to not make mistakes or whatever. If anything, I'm making sure I pack in the mistakes now when it's still slightly socially acceptable, rather than when I'm 30. Whatever. What I mean by that is, like, sometimes you can't like mess up super hard because your family can't afford another year at university, for instance, or you need to understand the context of your life. So make big mistakes, but try to offset that so that the consequences aren't so heavy. So do 1 or 2 things right, and try navigate that in such a way that it's not, blow up your life, but don't blow it up, not to smithereens. There we go. You can blow it up, but like not to smithereens. that makes sense to me. It's the story of privilege, it's the story of class, it's the story of sexism, it's the story of racism. It was hard for me to sometimes watch the people around me who were not people of color. They had way more resources than I did. They had more things at their fingertips to make sure that the mistakes they made wouldn't affect them when they're 40, for instance. And had I made those exact same mistakes with no cushioning, I don't know that those mistakes would be easily repairable. Point number 10 is that, especially for women, I'm saying this because we get osteoporosis apparently. No, I did my research. We do get bone density stuff, and it starts happening when you're 30 already, losing your bone density. So lift some heavy stuff if you can, a few weights. Doesn't have to be super heavy, just to keep that going. Please eat your vegetables. There are so many issues you can avoid in your life if you just eat your vegetables. And if you hate vegetables, make a smoothie with them in. That's delicious. You just pump that down. Sometimes in life you have to do things you don't like eat vegetables to avoid very avoidable health issues, okay? And if you're not gonna have a smoothie, get whatever vitamins that go in the vegetables and pump those down. But it's not going to be the same as eating the actual vegetable, because there's the fiber and all that stuff. I've checked, okay? You need to eat vegetables. You need to eat vegetables. You need to eat protein, obviously, within your means, within whatever context you're in. Get some sun, super important, really helps. Get some sun, wear your SPF. And please put your SPF on your neck. I wish it's changed the game. Put the SPF on your neck up to, so the whole, all over, but up to here, not here. I promise you will be able to tell that you did an SPF the whole area in however many years. And stop hating your body. I know that's complicated, but if you can work something out over there, because it's particularly unhelpful. It's so particularly unhelpful to hate your body. There's that Instagram or TikTok sound. This is your body. It's your house. Is where you don't use up all your energy thinking about your body as much if you can help it. Thanks. Bye.